Jerry and I have been going around giving this same talk, which is essentially a bunch of humorous Ben & Jerry's anecdotes. Of course, I'll give you a few of those. And some Ben & Jerry's business philosophy. I'll give you a little taste of that. But mostly, I'd like to talk about what I've been up to these days. And I'd like to adjust my temperature situation here. So, in terms of anecdotes, Jerry and I, how did we start? Everybody always asks that. And the answer to the question is that we met in 7th grade gym class. We were the two slowest, fattest kids in the class. And there'd be the whole class running around the track, and half a lap behind, there'd be me and Jerry, and the coach would yell out, "Gentlemen, if you don't run the mile in under 10 minutes, you're going to have to run it again." And Jerry would yell back, "But coach, if we don't run it in under 10 minutes the first time, we're certainly not going to run it in under 10 minutes the second time." And that's how we got to be good friends. Jerry now informs me that it was half a century ago that happened, that we were in gym class together. And just one other interesting little story about the history of Ben & Jerry's I'd like to tell you is, we had this in-state Vermont public stock offering, the first ever in-state Vermont public stock offering. 1 out of every 100 Vermont families bought stock in the company, and we were feeling really good. And then, we were going into our first major market in order to build the company so that people would do well financially. And the first major market was Boston. And since we were going into a major market for the first time, we decided we would do our first TV ad. And we came out with this. We could only afford 10-second ads on late night TV. So we bought 10-second ads on Star Trek reruns. And so the ad was Jerry and I live in the middle of this pint lid. And it went like this. "Hi, I'm Ben. I'm Jerry. We may not have the money for a 30-second TV ad, but we're sure to make some of the best ice cream you ever tasted." And that was it. And it really worked. Sales started taking off in Boston. And then we get this call from our distributor in Boston who says, "Ben, there's something really serious that's happened. I can't talk about it with you on the phone. We have to meet together in Boston in a place nobody's going to see us." So, Jerry and I decide to show up. We go to the back room of some restaurant, and this distributor says, "Well, I carry about 20 different brands of ice cream. One of them is yours, and another one I've been carrying for a long time is Haagen-Dazs." Well, Haagen-Dazs had just gotten bought by Pillsbury, and the Pillsbury salespeople came to this distributor and said, "If you continue to sell Ben & Jerry's, we're not going to sell you Haagen-Dazs anymore." And Ben & Jerry's was just starting off, and we didn't have near the sales that Haagen-Dazs had. And the distributor said, I'm really sorry. I really like you guys. It's really good ice cream, but I'm going to have to drop it." And we realized that if this could happen in Boston, this could happen with any major ice cream distributor around the country, and we wouldn't be able to get our ice cream onto the shelf, and we'd go out of business. And so we saw a lawyer, and the lawyer said, "Well, it sounds like a restraint of trade under federal antitrust law that says that a company that controls the major share of a given market can't keep other companies out in the market. But you'd have to sue them." And we weren't exactly in a position to sue Pillsbury. So we decided that we would at least let the public know what was going on. And so we launched the "What's the Doughboy Afraid of" campaign. And it began by renting aerial banners that flew behind planes that would circle the sports stadiums in Boston saying, "What's the doughboy afraid of?" And Jerry was a one-person picket outside the Pillsbury World corporate headquarters in Minneapolis. And we held a press conference in Boston, and like one reporter showed up. And we took out a little ad in the classified section in the back of Rolling Stone magazine that said, "Help 2 Vermont hippies fight the corporate giants. Send in $1 for a 'What's the Doughboy Afraid of' bumper sticker." That didn't get that far. And then we started thinking about it, and we thought, well, who really cares if Ben & Jerry's goes out of business? And the answer was our customers. And so we started putting stickers on the side of each one of our pints that said, "What's the Doughboy afraid of?" along with an 800 number. And we started getting like 100 calls a night on that call-in line, mostly between the hours of midnight and 3 a.m., which apparently is when people are consuming our product. And there would be an answering machine. It was a tape one in the old days. And it would give the story of what Pillsbury was trying to do to us. And we asked people to leave their name and address for a Doughboy kit. And we would send them this kit that included a write-in letter to the Federal Trade Commission and a write-in letter to the chairman of the board of Pillsbury, and a "What's the Doughboy Afraid of" bumper sticker for your car, and a chance to send in $10 and get a t-shirt that said, "What's the Doughboy Afraid of" on the front, and Ben & Jerry's Legal Defense Fund, major contributor, on the back. And
for $10,
you know, the story started to be picked up by the New Yorker magazine, by Calvin Trillin, and then the Boston Globe ran it, and the Hartford Courant, and the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Times, and you know, eventually the Doughboy was getting so much of a black eye that Pillsbury relented and allowed us to continue to distribute our ice cream. But, you know, that's the old days. You know, I want to talk about what I'm doing these days, and I guess I want to start by talking about the 3 quotes that are painted in big letters on the walls of my office. The first one is, "If we had justice, we wouldn't need charity." That's from Ralph Nader. And of course, he was talking about economic justice. If the global South were not being exploited by the global North, if multinational corporations and the wealthiest 1% were not rigging the system for their own benefit, if we truly had fairness and equality in our country in terms of quality of education for all, if we had universal health care, then we wouldn't need charity. And the other quote that's up there is, "Only those who attempt the absurd achieve the impossible." What were some of those things that were impossible? Ending slavery, women's suffrage, getting electricity from the sun.
Hey, woohoo!
And the third quote that's up there is, "If I can't dance, I don't want to be part of your revolution." That's from Emma Goldman. Well, and as long as I'm quoting quotes, you know, there's one more. It's not up there, but it's one that I talk about frequently. And that's a quote from some German philosopher. And it says, "All truth goes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as being self-evident." So that's the philosophy part. And now, what's Ben been doing? Well, before I get to that, there's another quote. Oh, well, I'll tell you what Ben's been doing. I mean, what have I been doing? What I've been doing has been inspired by the work of Martin Luther King, who said that a nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. And so, for 10 years after Ben & Jerry's got sold, I worked with a group of business people to try to shift national budget priorities away from unneeded Cold War era Pentagon expenditures and into social needs like education, healthcare, housing, feeding people. And as part of that, we formed an online organization called True Majority that's just now merged into U.S. Action. And so I was doing that, and then, just about a year ago, the military-industrial complex started coming home to roost in Burlington, Vermont, in the form of the F-35, which is kind of the poster child for all that's wrong with the Pentagon. It's an overpriced, underperforming plane that was designed to defeat the Soviet Union or another superpower like that, but that's no longer needed in today's world. That F-35 is bad for our country because it puts us into debt. It's the most expensive weapons system ever. It kills jobs because every $1 billion that you spend on the Pentagon creates half as many jobs as if you spent that $1 billion on education.